I have a really special guest, Shakedown. Say hi.
So what up, Kells fans?
Oh, geez. They're going to be Shakedown fans pretty soon. Okay,
Yeah.
Shake, I have a really interesting topic because I think a lot of my viewers are pretty young and they're going to that stage where they're going to become men. And first off question, I want to ask, are you married?
Yes, I am happily married. I've been married for like 10 years. and
That's so cute.
I have a beautiful daughter with my wife. We met in the military, and shout out to my wife, man. She lets me game. She lets me play ball. She lets me work out. We do everything together. She's like my best friend. So absolutely.
That's really cute. Same for Jade. We ball, well, when we can, but we're not married yet. We'll get there. Alright, so what is it like being a man, or like, what do you think that means to you?
Wow. There is, in my mind, a couple of stages you go through. In your teens, you're kind of just learning, what people teach you, and then in your 20s, you try to start applying what you've learned, and so like in your 20s, you're making a lot of mistakes. And I have to believe that when you're in your 30s, you kind of get to the point where you've understand a lot of the mistakes you made, and you start making good choices and good decisions. As a man, in your 20s, you're still growing, you're still changing. You don't know, you're really following in the footsteps of other men that are where you want to be. And so at that stage, it is very difficult for a man to make a lot of commitments.
Right. Wow. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Well, I was thinking, do you think there's a like weird age or appropriate age for boys to, do certain things that men are quote unquote do or stereotypically do, such as like sexual activities or like going out drinking and being late with their guy friends out having fun or something, or I don't know, like, is there a certain age to start doing that, or does it just come and go as experience whenever it happens, or, you know?
I'll go from my own experience. I think that men in general, start to make better decisions. I want to say in their mid to late 20s. Again, you're still in a learning stage mentally when you're in your early 20s. You're finally out. You're out of your mom's house. You're out on the town. You're experiencing the world, and everything at that stage in your life is very experimentation. Experimentational. So it's like you're experimenting with everything. It doesn't matter whether it be sexual activities or hanging out with friends. Even when you're hanging out with friends, you're learning, which, dudes you call your friends are your true friends, and which ones are gonna stick you in the back. And usually that happens when a girl's involved. And so I tend to believe that, roughly around that time, somewhere around your mid 20s to late 20s, you start to make better decisions because you've learned you've gone through so many trials and error.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I guess that's why they make it like, oh, you have to be 18 and older to vote or something, because voting is super crazy, but not a lot of people vote. Do you vote?
Oh, absolutely. Once I was in the military. I joined the Air Force back in 2001, and I served under George Bush. And I'm
Wow.
not going to get into a topic about whatever for all you George Bush fans, but I was not a big Bush fan.
I wasn't either.
So nonetheless, the moment he got out of office, I had to vote. I mean, and I
Right.
voted for the last two terms, and my votes succeeded. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you vote for Obama?
absolutely.
Me too! Yay! That's awesome. That's really great. Well, since I'm taking this class about men, like just yesterday I watched a documentary in class, and some of these really young teenage boys were talking about how at school teachers favor girls over guys because they're just girls or something, they're smarter or something, and they can express their feelings more. So how do you feel about crying? Because a lot of teenage boys do not cry. Like, there is a fact that says boys stop crying at the age 5. And so how would you give advice for teenage boys right now to like just feel comfortable about crying?
I will say to all men, all young men that are growing up, don't cry. No. Here's my take on it, and I'm like a rock. I really am, and it sucks to be that way sometimes because during relationships, I read a book a long time ago called The 5 Love Languages, and it talks about how to fill your loved one's love tank. And women tend to be a lot more emotionally in tuned to the world around them, and so guys, we are not so emotionally attached to a lot of things. A lot of things kind of roll off our shoulders. So in a lot of cases, what a girl would cry about, she'd look at her boyfriend or her man and say, or her brother or her father, and say, hey, aren't you going to cry about that? And he won't, because it's just not built in his mind to cry about something. Like men tend to be strong, and to be honest with you, for most women out there, that's what you want. You want a man who's strong, who can endure certain things. But at the same time, you do want a man that is, to some degree, in touch with his own feelings. And if he's comfortable around his woman, he shouldn't feel afraid to cry about something that's really important. But if you're a strong mentality, and you portray the image of someone who's very, rock, and you're very strong and you can endure a lot of things, and then you cry when it's something very, very impactful to your life, that shows a lot of strength too. Right. Showing that you can cry shows a lot of strength. Exactly. If something devastating happened to you and you did cry about it, and you're someone who's actually, pretty strong in most situations, that will show the people around you that you really are strong, because it does take a strong man, to cry in front of someone else.
It does. That's really good. So for boys who, let's say, don't have a girlfriend or a woman in front of them to be themselves around, so while growing up, I guess, and they let's say something happens, like, I don't know, maybe it could be to an extreme where a friend dies, or he got beat up or picked on, or let's say what can I think of? He got a bad grade and he's doing terrible in school or something. Like, do you think that's, well, okay, I personally think that it would be like okay to kind of cry a little bit or whatever. You could be upset, of course, and I feel like it would be really healthy for boys if they grow up and they, be, like you said, be in touch with their emotions and learn to like maybe control it. And it's really good, because it sucks that I have so many guy friends that tell me, oh yeah, the last time I cried I can't even remember, and it's like, holy cow, that's sad, like that sucks. So I don't know, when was the last time you cried?
I would like to say this, a lot of things, again, I'll refer to a lot of things that in most cases women would cry about. A man just wouldn't do that, because and here's the reason why. I'll explain a little bit real quick. Women, like you ever go to your friend or your boyfriend or a male figure with a problem, and you're telling him the issue, and you're crying about it, and it's, maybe not crying about it, but you're very emotional about the situation. And what does the man do? Men are Mr. Fix-Its. We're like, okay, well, this is how you fix it. This is what you should do next. When you go back to school tomorrow, this is what you say to her, or this is what you do. We try to give you the solution to the problem. Whereas if the girl or you were crying or maybe emotionally attached to a situation, and you were explaining this to one of your girlfriends, your girlfriend would just comfort you. She'd just be like, oh, I know, I understand the problem, right? So women will comfort the situation, and she will understand the emotions that you're that you're going through, whereas a man tries to fix it. And we try to do this, we also try to do this in our own lives. Instead of crying about the situation, and feeling weak, we try to bounce back and feel strong, and we always mentally try to come up with a solution. Okay, so we did bad on a test. Well, next time I'm gonna cheat, or next time I'm going to study. You know what I'm saying? We don't say, "Ah, man, I'm so stupid." No, we just say, "You know what? It's my own fault." You know, and you know, maybe if a friend dies, a close friend, that's all right to cry. I don't see a problem there. If a man doesn't cry when a close friend dies, he's bottling up those emotions, and he may one day let it out at the wrong time. So, you know, there's a lot of cases where, you know, men are strong and they're supposed to be. And I think that's the way we're built. You know, that's the way we're wired. We're supposed to go out there and kill the beast and drag him home and cut him up and cook him over the fire, and, you know, and be strong. We get sliced open and we're supposed to keep fighting, you know, whereas the women are supposed to nurture those wounds. And so, you know, it's very difficult at times for a woman to understand a man, and way more difficult for a man to understand a woman.
Right. Wow. Well, that was really great advice and a really good insight on everything. I hope my audience will really, really like what you said and take it into their own lives. And I hope they subscribe to you, because your commentaries are one of the best.
I appreciate that.
Of course. And that's all the time we have, because it's going to be a 12 minutes. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you, Shaky, for coming here. And thank you to your wife for letting you. Okay. Bye, guys.
All right. We'll holla at you guys later.